This week on Another Movie Podcast, we let you know who the villain of Wonder Woman 2 is going to be.
Ooh, and Joss Whedon gets kicked off the Batgirl movie? He doesn't, but it'll make people listen more. Keep going.
And Guardians of the Galaxy director drops a bombshell on Groot.
Ooh, is Groot being kicked off the movie?
No, he's still in the movie.
Okay.
Hello and welcome back to Another Movie Podcast. I am Sean Pierce.
And I am Sean Kelly.
And firstly, we just want to say a big thank you to everyone who downloaded the first episode of the year 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Was our third biggest download of all time. So we thought we'd make you wait another 2 weeks for another episode.
Wait? That's a little bit much.
Yeah.
You know what my theory is?
What's that?
They forgot what the show was. Like, it had been so long, they're like, what's this on my podcast feed? What's this again? And then they listen, they're like, yeah, okay.
That one.
Yeah. I thought I deleted this.
Yeah, so we'll see a massive drop this week. Yeah.
Speaking of massive drops,
yes.
I was going to go into our first. Oh, wait, we haven't done the news yet. How's your week been?
Yeah, it's been really good. This is smooth sailing already on this podcast.
Right.
Yeah, smooth operators.
We flew too high to the sun with our last thing, and now we're like, this is easy.
Yeah.
You go.
My week has been very good. We went to this Marvel celebration day yesterday here in Melbourne in the city, and I've spoken already about this on the podcast before, but I'm really into pop vinyls. So at this place, they had a pop-up store which sold these 3 chrome Avengers pop vinyls, and the pop vinyl world has got absolutely ballistic over these things. I've never seen so many juvenile people in my life.
Oh my God.
People from all over the country trying to get people to get them down to Melbourne to try and get them these chrome Batman, also chrome Avengers things. And these things have gone through the roof on eBay. Like I bought a whole set for myself, and it was $75 for the 3 of them. They're going for like ridiculous amounts of money online, like $300, $400 just for these 3 things that you will eventually get elsewhere at other conventions. But the pop vinyl world is so self-entitled that they just need them now and want them now. So if you were down there and you happen to get this set and you don't want them, just put them on eBay. You're going to make a fortune.
Oh my God, you should have bought 2 sets.
In hindsight, I should have.
Rookie mistake.
But I don't want to be one of those people, to be honest.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I appreciate that. You got class.
Oh, not a lot of class, but some class.
Just enough to not buy more toys so that other people can't get them and then resell them on a higher thing. All right, I get it.
Absolutely. And it was a good day. My son dressed up as Black Panther, and they had like a kids cosplay competition, and he ended up winning crowd favorite. So I was quite proud of him yesterday.
That
he got up
cool.
there. He's usually quite scared of getting up in front of people, but he conquered his fear and went up there and had a go, and he ended up winning. And he ended up winning passes to Oz Comic Con in June, so he just saved me like $60 as well. So that's even better.
So I assume you're leaving him at home, and you and I are going.
Yes. Yes.
I did see the photo you put up, and he nailed the Black Panther pose. So
Yeah,
he's got a
really
future.
well. Really well. No, I was quite happy with his performance yesterday. So, as I said, the winning wasn't the main thing. It was just that he had a go. So that was one thing I was proud of the most.
Well, I've had a pretty crazy week as well, just quietly. Or
All right,
crazy Saturday.
Care to share?
Not that we're competing, but I didn't get to bed until like 1:30 last night or this morning.
Well, you have a young child, so I'm guessing it's either she was up all night or you're actually raving last night.
No, we're close to raving. We were playing board games.
Yeah.
It was really good, and I won one.
Just one?
Which is the most important thing. Well, I thought I won 2, but then we read the rules again. I'm like, oh no, I didn't win the second one. But it was okay. I won the one that was important. I won Risk, and I lost Marrying Mr. Darcy, but that's okay.
Marrying Mr. Darcy. I can't say I've heard of that one.
It's a great game. It's a little card game where you play as the characters, the girls from Pride and Prejudice.
Oh yeah,
and you've got to try and like nail down the best suit. It sounds really naff, but it's kind of fun. Anyway, crazy times.
I just have
in the
this
Kelly
vision
household.
in my head of you and your wife sitting there in Pride and Prejudice gear, sipping tea. Oh, Sean, would you like a drink?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
There are cards which are like, You have to complete this action in the game, and you must do so in a ladylike fashion. If you haven't played it, you should really get it. Marrying Mr. Darcy. Hilarious times. Anyway.
I'm thinking you need to live stream this on our Facebook page.
All right, we'll do it. Only if you'll play with me. I'll definitely do it then.
Definitely not playing Hello, Mr. Darcy, or Marry Mr. Darcy, whatever it's called with you.
Never mind.
I told you I'm willing to have a crack at Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes, one day.
I've never played it before, but I'm happy to give that a crack. But I don't think marrying Mr. Darcy is in my forte.
D&D is the gateway drug, and we'll get you up to marrying Mr. Darcy eventually. But anyway, we're not here. No. It's not a board game podcast.
No, not a board game. It is a movie podcast, and it's time for the movie news.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story.
All right, well, let's kick off the week with a shout-out. The guy who basically inspired me to ask you, would you like to do a podcast, is Kevin Smith. I listen to a lot of his podcasts, and quite regularly he says, anyone can start a podcast. If there's something that you love talking about, just go out and talk about it. So that's what we did. That's what we did with the show, and, we've been doing it for, I think, over a year and a half now. So big thank you to him. But he ended up having a heart attack during the week, and he's all good now. But in saying that, there was also some controversy that came out of him having a heart attack, which is quite petty and quite ridiculous when you think about it. It is. So basically, Star-Lord himself, Chris Pratt, sent out a tweet to Kevin Smith saying, your thoughts and prayers are with you, and so on and so forth. Just a nice, simple get well soon type message. But Twitter exploded in this, saying, it's not prayers that's going to help Kevin Smith. It's doctors and nurses and medicine that will save his life. And I just like, what is with these people? It's just like a common thing that you would say to someone, in need who's hoping he's going to be on the right track. And the Twitter world exploded just because of this.
I'm impressed that, one, I love the fact that Chris Pratt and Kevin Smith have some kind of relationship, because I would love to be in that conversation. And two, people just want to be jerks about things. Like, I get that religion isn't cool, and I'm not religious, but if someone's just passing on their condolences, let them do it. Especially someone as nice as Chris Pratt.
Yeah, well, the big dog stepped in as well, and James Gunn, the director of Guardians of the Galaxy, came in and said, there is nothing wrong with sending some positive thoughts and prayers, but when this is coupled with inaction, with action that will benefit the situation, it's empty. So basically, he's just saying, give the guy a break. He just wants to send some love and prayers. It doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to go out there and pay Kevin's medical bills or shit like that. Yeah. Just appreciate the message. Just as simple as that. Why can't we all just get along?
Why can't we all just get along? Thank you, Mr. Gunn.
Yes. There was an Indian singer here in Australia named Kamal, and his favourite saying is, why are people so unkind? And it's true. We just are a horrible species, to be honest.
Except for, we did produce people like Kevin Smith and Chris Pratt, so I think we're going okay overall. Yes.
So I hope you get well soon, Kevin Smith. We know that you're a listener, so get back on your podcast so we can give them a bell as well. All right, well, there was some big news happening over in the DCEU, and nothing bigger than when another director drops out. They've had an unlucky run with directors over at the DCU. Yeah. Just when you think the ship was finally sailing in the right direction, Joss Whedon has stepped away from his attachment to pen and direct the Batgirl film at Warner Brothers.
Now, I'm a big fan of Joss Whedon. I know there's had some controversy, particularly in the feminist sphere. To be honest, I'm not completely across it, but I understand that there's controversy there. But at the same token, I'm kind of glad that he's not attached, and I really hope that this is inspired by people who want to get a Patty Jenkins style female creative direction for this Batgirl film.
Yeah, look. It's been said, he came out and said that, Batgirl is such an exciting project. Warner Brothers and DC have been such a collaborative and supportive partners, but it took him months to realize that he just didn't have a story to tell. He's grateful to Jeff Johns, who's been so welcoming when he arrived, and it's understanding when I say there isn't a sexier word for failed. So, I think I smell bullshit on this one.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
believe that this is all stemming from the Justice League, I reckon, because he came in as a director of that and pretty much blew it because it wasn't any good. And I think DC have just like, you know what, I don't think this guy is the answer to our prayers.
Yeah.
And as you said before, Variety has then posted up a story saying that the studio is more desperate to seek female directors for projects that are centered on female characters.
Yeah, the idea that he can't think of a story for Batgirl, I think, is complete nonsense. And like why they've gone with that, I have no idea. Because hasn't he seen the Killing Joke animated film? He could have just adapted that. That
was pretty much a Batgirl film. Yeah, that's right. But in saying that too, I just recently rewatched the Justice League, and now that you can spot Harry Cavill's bad mustache lip, I'm convinced they pretty much reshot all of his scenes because nearly all of his scenes have got this horrible mustache lip. So I'd like to see what the original storyline for Batman was, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be very interesting, but you'll never see it, unfortunately.
Well, there's a very hot at the moment in demand female director called Greta Gerwig, who just directed a film called Lady Bird. I wouldn't be surprised if she was tapped on the shoulder for this one, if she wanted to go more mainstream and work for a studio.
Yeah, because I was going to say she's still kind of indie, but established, so she'd be the perfect one. Take a leaf out of Marvel's book, DC, and hire some like up-and-coming indies.
Yeah, you don't have to go for the big names all the time. Don't swing for the fence. You know, get someone who's got some actual talent and some vision and let them, you know, guide your movies rather than you guide the movies.
Cough, not Zack Snyder's cough.
Yes. All right, well, there was a test screening of Aquaman while we have been away. And the noise coming out of that is quite positive. Director James Wan, who directed Saw, Insidious, and the Conjuring movies, has been putting together a film that they're kind of saying has the similar tone of Wonder Woman, but it's a little more scary with some underwater monsters and everything else. So, you know, that's not a bad spin on, you know, something that we really hadn't seen before. Yeah,
and look, I really hope this film goes well. James Wan, it's good to see an Australian director directing something potentially pretty massive. Yeah, but I'm still... I don't know about the villain they've chosen for this movie.
Black Manta.
No, well, Black Manta's the secondary villain. Like, I would have thought if there's one villain you're going to do as the primary for Aquaman, it's got to be Black Manta. But they've gone with the Ocean Master, who is, I don't know, his backstory is really convoluted and kind of lame. But I assume they're just going to get rid of that. They're just going to play up the half-brother story and do something sort of fun there. But correct me if I'm wrong, you just watched Justice League recently.
Correct.
Remind me, they couldn't talk under the water, could they? They had to go into like a special air bubble.
Correct.
So I don't know how this is going to play out. Does that mean every time they want to have a conversation underwater, they have to go into an air bubble?
Apparently that is being dropped. They can actually talk underwater now. They don't have to go into this mysterious bubble, is what I've read from the people who have seen it so far.
I'm really glad they planned that through.
Yeah, no, it's good to see there's some good cohesion between the writers and directors of Justice League and Aquaman.
Oh my god. Anyway, look, I am kind of keen to see this, even though I'm a bit sort of done with Jason Momoa. But I wanted to do well. I just want to see Black Manta's awesome helmet on the screen.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see whether they do that or not, because it is very comic book.
Yeah.
Whether that transcends into the film world, especially, you know, with the look that we have for Aquaman, whether it works or not, who knows? We'll have to wait and see till we actually see a picture of it.
Cool.
But in saying that, though, I do like the origin story they might be telling with this. Or there's two actually that they might tell. One involves him being kidnapped as a child, and he's taken aboard a ship where he's abused and growing to hate Aquaman for failing to hear his call for help. So I do like that part. And there's another storyline that they might follow as well, is that he's an autistic orphan who grew up in Arkham Asylum, who became fascinated with Aquaman after seeing him on TV. So they're really two good backstories that they could follow, and I hope it's something, you know, on those lines, something that gives the villain some actual depth rather than just what we've seen so far in the DC.
Yeah, let's see another Killmonger.
Yeah.
Not another, whatever that elf guy was from Thor 2.
Yeah. So as I said, we've still got till December when this film comes out. So hopefully we might see a trailer around Comic-Con time, I would say. So fingers crossed there is something good happening over there.
Yeah, cool.
All right, well, as we said in the intro, the villain for Wonder Woman 2 is going to be Cheetah.
Yeah, I like it. I think this is a cool idea. I mean, she's obviously generally one of Wonder Woman's primary antagonists. I think she could look really cool on screen. And I think they could do cool stuff with her story as well, and link it very clearly with the first movie.
Now, do you know much about the character?
I think, and I could be getting my cheetahs crossed here, that she's something to do with the mythology aspect. I thought she might have been like another type of demigod creature. Do you know?
No, well, what they've written here is that she's like this stealthy shapeshifter with heightened senses, enhanced agility, super strength, and the ability to control animals.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah,
I've seen them fight a lot, but I haven't really sat down and looked at her backstory. I was kind of hoping they would do, now that they've established that the DCEU has the gods and things, that she was some kind of like maybe a lost Amazon or something like that, who would hate Wonder Woman because Wonder Woman's like the poster child of the Amazons, whereas maybe she's been pushed to the side. I don't know. I'm curious to see what they do. I like the look, and I think she'll be a great tussle with Wonder Woman.
Well, the studio was really pushing hard to get Emma Stone to play the part, but unfortunately she turned it down. But now the front runner, and quite surprisingly, is Kristen Wiig to play the role of Cheetah.
This is so funny. I love Kristen Wiig. I love Emma Stone, but I don't know. I kind of prefer Kristen Wiig. But I've never seen her as kind of like a badass fighter.
No, not really. And I have seen her in one dramatic role. And she pulled it off quite well. And she was also in that Matt Damon film Downsizing. That wasn't necessarily a comedic role, and she was okay in that one as well.
Yeah.
The film was shit, but shit was all right in it. Yeah. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see whether she can pull off something like this.
Yeah, I think she's got the. I think she's actually a pretty good actor. And if they can get, was it David Thewlis looking, pretty scary in the last one? They might be able to get her looking scary in this one. Yeah,
well, it's true. But we've still got a while before we see any of this one. So, we'll wait and see once they do announce it, and we'll be sure to let you guys know.
Yeah.
All right, over in the Marvel world, I got all excited this week because there was this announcement that they were going to release the Avengers early, and I'm like, yes, this is awesome. We're going to see it 1 week earlier. And then I had a look, and I'm like, North America only. It was already opening early here in Australia, so we are going to see it normal time, but to all US listeners, you will get to see it the same time as everyone else in the world, which I don't know why this hasn't been the norm, because the only time they've really done it is with Black Panther, where they released it worldwide everywhere. I don't know why, half of the world gets it before one of the biggest markets in the world, the US.
Particularly these days, it seems very silly, where it's basically digital, like they just beam it out to everybody, so it doesn't make any sense to me.
Correct, and I don't know why Marvel would take the risk of, having some shit bootleg copy go online, before it even opens in the US. So, so hopefully this is going to be their new plan of attack, just to release it worldwide, just as they did with Black Panther.
Yeah.
And speaking of Black Panther, this film has gone through the roof. Like, this is making insane amount of money that only Marvel and Disney can produce. In 2.5 weeks, it currently sits at $750 million worldwide. That is ridiculous. This is, I think it's going to be only the second solo film to break $1 billion mark. It's definitely going to hit there. I think the only other one was Iron Man 3, I think it was.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, and that was a sequel. So to have a standalone film like this can't make so much money, and just as like Wonder Woman did as well, we're going to see a real shift in what's happening in the next couple of years, I think.
It's just been, this has been a phenomenon. I don't think we really understand it, or I certainly don't understand it, because the way it's spoken to the African-American community in America has been, like, just the little bits I've read, it's been a phenomenon. So, look, well done to the guys. They've really tapped into the zeitgeist of what people are looking for, and yeah, they took a chance, and it's really paid off.
Yeah, well, so much so the cinemas in the US were actually putting their front foot forward and actually going to the studio saying that they want more diverse films like this so they can have more people come through the cinemas, which is not necessarily a dying breed at the moment, but a lot of people are, just waiting for come on Netflix or, whatever streaming service they're on. So, they want foot traffic to come through the cinemas. Yeah. And, clearly films like this and Wonder Woman are doing that.
So Wonder Woman ended up making $121 million. And, yeah, Black Panther's definitely on track to surpass that.
Yeah, it's going to smash it. I think generally each film drops 50% in each week. So I made 170 odd, I think it was. Oh no, sorry, 200 something in its first week. Then it made 100 million last week. So if it gets around $50 million in the US again this week, it's definitely going to come very close to that $1 billion mark by the end of the week.
Not bad.
It is. It's very cool. So good luck to them for taking not necessarily a risk, but getting a film like that signed off. All right. Well, for some reason, I don't know how this is happening, but Fox Studios are planning more Marvel films than ever before, even though they've been sold off to Marvel. It's been reported that they're now developing a Silver Surfer movie, which is going to be completely standalone. He's not going to tie into any like Fantastic Fours or X-Men or anything like that.
Yeah.
And on top of that, they're also planning. We've got 2 films this year. We've got Deadpool 2 and X-Men: The Dark Phoenix. Then they're planning 3 films in 2019. Then another 3 films in 2020. So the 3 films in 2019 most likely going to be the New Mutants, Gambit, and X-Force, which is a pretty strong lineup considering we've seen the trailer for New Mutants already. But I don't know how they can continue doing what they're doing considering they've already been sold off and Marvel plans to have them in the MCU.
Yeah, I don't understand all the backroom deals and things like that. I just think they're just throwing enough shit at the wall until they get something that'll finally stick.
Yeah.
It's a bit sad.
But talking to New Mutants, they're saying that the film was delayed so they could have additional photography put in so a whole new character can be added to the narrative. Now, this is weird. I smell a turd on the horizon, to be honest. I reckon, because this was supposed to come out this year, and I reckon they've seen it, and it's no good. So to go back and add a whole new character into the film, it's something's fishy up there.
That's like deleting a mustache taken to the next level.
Yeah. I don't like it. The trailer didn't necessarily do much for me anyway. But
I like the idea.
I like the idea of it. Yeah, absolutely. I was just about to say I do like the genre of it coming into the comic book world, which we hadn't seen before. But yeah, something's odd on this one.
Oh well. We get to see. We can obviously, at the very least, it'll give us a lot of fodder to talk about how bad it was on a future show.
Absolutely. And speaking of the X-Force, they've been told that Drew Goddard, who's going to be directing this film, is expected to shoot this film sometime this year, and it's going to bring back Deadpool Ryan Reynolds and Cable Josh Brolin, along with some additional characters into it, which we saw briefly in the trailers. And it's basically the X-Force is kind of like Marvel's Suicide Squad, would you say? But hopefully a hell of a lot better. It's like a black ops team who is forced to do these dirty missions that no one else wants to do.
Yeah, and look, we'll see if it's going to be. It's got to be better than Suicide Squad, in my opinion.
Yeah. And a lot of it's going to carry on the chemistry that hopefully Ryan Reynolds and Josh Brolin have in Deadpool 2, because if it doesn't work, this X-Force film necessarily doesn't work either. So that will be interesting to see.
It already looks like they've got a good chemistry, and we've only seen them interact for like 5 seconds in the trailer, so I'm cool. I don't think anyone in the world could not have good chemistry with Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
Except for maybe Alanis Morissette.
That's a bit random. Did they date or?
Yeah, they dated. And
okay, fair enough.
A good breakup. Yeah,
okay.
There is a sense to be made there. That's
maybe they didn't play enough Marry Mr. Darcy.
Exactly right. Get on to it, guys.
All right, and there's filming rumors going on that James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is starting up its pre-production, and they're targeting an early 2019 film start for a 2020 opening.
That's too long away. I kind of want it before. So, James, if you get a wriggle on, that would be fine. I don't mind if it takes you all year to do it and you release early 2019. I'll allow that, but 2020, just too far, guys.
I'm happy for him to take his time, to be honest, because
Yeah.
I'm still disappointed with Volume 2. So I want him to get his shit together before he comes back to finish off what you would think would be the Guardians that we know now, their story.
Yeah, you'd hope that it was the end.
Yes, I would dare say we'll get another lineup of Guardians coming through. All right, now speaking of James Gunn, he dropped something this week that blew my fucking mind, and I'm sure if you haven't read this article already, prepare to have your minds blown. So basically, people ask him questions all the time on Twitter, and one of the recurring questions is Baby Groot that we see in Volume 2 actually Groot? He came out this week and said, no, it's actually Baby Groot is actually Groot's son.
Yeah,
bum, bum, bum.
This was not flagged at all in the film. Like, no. I get it now that it's been explained, but you needed to have something else in there.
He came out and said, although I don't necessarily think it's obvious in Volume 1, it's important to say that if you have an exploded tree and a little glob and you start to grow a baby, I would not assume that the baby was you. I do think it's more obvious in Volume 2, as Baby Groot has a different personality than Groot, none of his memories, and is much more dumber. So,
how do we know any of that?
I 100% agree with you.
Like, how do we know what his memories are? And, like, he's dumber because he's a child again. Yeah. I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't understand but either. But it's very cool. I do, when he says it now, and when you think about Groot from Volume 1 and Groot from Volume 2, even though he's still a baby, it does kind of make sense.
I think what actually has happened is he's thought of a story he wants to tell for the third one, and it's a minor retcon. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, you could be right there. But, you know, why flag it so early? We've got 2 years before the second one comes, or third one comes out.
Just to make it seem like you'd meant it the whole time. I'm on to you, mate.
Just like George Lucas, apparently the first reel of Star Wars didn't actually say Episode 4. It was only until Star Wars became a big hit. He says, oh, no, this is the fourth one, and there's going to be 2 more. And, so maybe it's kind of that action.
He is the master of that.
Yeah. All right, well, over at Disney, they've been remaking all of their animated films into live-action ones. And apparently one of the next ones is going to be Pinocchio. And the director of Paddington 1 and 2 has been tapped on the shoulder to bring this one to life. His name is Paul King. And I got to say, I've watched both of these with my sons, and they are actually quite good. I've really enjoyed both of them. So originally Sam Mendes was supposed to direct this film, but he was taken off, or he had creative differences or a scheduling issue. I'm saying all those with inverted commas. But I do like this director's approach to things, and he could do really well with Pinocchio.
And I agree. I've heard nothing but good things about the Paddington films. I just hope they really lean into the creepy factor that was in the original Pinocchio, because some of it's quite disturbing. So hopefully they maintain that.
I don't know if they'll go that dark, to be honest, because don't forget this is Disney after all. But it could be cool. I do like what they're doing so far with these live action films. I know you hated Beauty and the Beast, but we've got the Lion King coming up next, I believe, and then Aladdin. So let's see what they can do. Yeah,
and I know some people are critical of this spate of just like going back to old IPs and making them semi live action. I like it. I'm cool. I'm down with it.
Yeah, so do I. It gets introduced to films to different generations.
Yeah.
So, yes, this is something that we have seen before, but for this new generation and this new cash that they want to bring in, they haven't seen these films before, so this becomes their version.
Exactly.
Of the story. All right, well, a film that you had in your top 5 last year was It, Chapter 1. And when we finished watching this film, because we watched it together, I think we kind of said, I hope they don't go out and just bring in massive names for the sequel to this, because I don't think it necessarily needs it. But it looks like they're doing that with the first announcement that Jessica Chastain is in early negotiations to play the adult version of Sophia Hill's Beverly.
Which, look, I don't think Jessica Chastain is like so well known that I won't be able to look past her name. I'm just glad that, they're not going to do like a Brad Pitt or anything like that. And I think she kind of...
She's an Oscar-nominated actress.
Yeah, but for films, I don't watch films. I just watch movies.
Yes, but Bill Skarsgård is coming back to play Pennywise. The director hasn't been locked in as yet, so we'll see that soon. Another mistake that Warner Brothers made. They didn't lock in Patty Jenkins, and that made huge cash. So probably more, and they didn't sign up this director Andy Muschietti, so it's probably going to cost them more as well. But they're hoping to bring back all the kids as well from the first film to come back in flashbacks, which will be cool.
Yeah, which was awesome. I do have to say though, like I don't think Andy Muschietti is. I mean, I thought he did a great job, but it's not quite the cultural movement that Patty Jenkins was.
No.
But still, I hope he does come back.
When you're on a winner, you stick with it.
Exactly right.
Yeah, bring the whole team back.
Yeah.
Well, there's this film coming out at the moment. There's this film that's out at the moment in the US called Annihilation. It stars Natalie Portman, and it's a kind of alien-esque type sci-fi film.
It looks really interesting.
Yeah, it does. Paramount, it's getting rave reviews. It's got like 86% on Rotten Tomatoes at the moment. But the interesting part is Paramount Pictures bought the film to release in the US, Canada, and China, but Netflix actually bought the rights to distribute this film worldwide, which means Paramount Pictures was only given a window of 3 weeks to put this film out, try make their money back and more, and then Netflix are going to put it on their streaming service for the rest of the world. Now, I hope this is going to be the new norm, because I would love to see, especially smaller films like this that, you might go and watch, at the movies, and then or you might wait 3-4 months to see them later on once they are available. I would love to see this kind of instant release of these films, that we wouldn't usually get here.
Yeah, I agree. And as you say, particularly for these kind of shorter, these smaller films, which sounds weird when you say Natalie Portman's in it. But I'm keen. Make it happen.
I'm really quite surprised how much Netflix actually makes. I've been reading that they run at a loss, because they just seem to produce so many TV shows, so many of their own films, and now they're buying distribution rights for other films that are coming out in the cinemas. Like a Netflix subscription is what, $12-15 at most, and you can have 4 people basically connect to the same account. So they're not really making a hell of a lot of money from us, but they're pumping out so much content, it's not funny. So I hope they keep doing what they're doing, and this could be the way of the future. We've spoken already that there is like this idea going around that they will stream films 3 weeks after they have been put out at the cinema for a premium price, which I think is a great idea, especially for people, who can't necessarily get to the movies all the time. At least exactly right. You can always, you pay a bit extra, you have it in your own home, why not?
And I to be honest, I think that's how it's going to go. Cinemas, I think, need to start. That's why we're getting like, I know Kevin Smith always talks about this 4D cinema. Is it 4D or whatever?
Yeah,
like
4D.
They spray water on you and stuff like that. I don't necessarily think that's the way to go. I think I just prefer clean cinemas.
No, I agree.
And good, well priced treats. But as you say, for people who can't get out that often, for people who just want to chill at home, I'd be very willing to pay a couple of bucks for a film that I just stream straight into my home.
Yeah, there's this 4D little cinema here in Melbourne. We've got like this Lego Discoveryland, and they've got a little 4D cinema in there where they show these Lego films. And I remember it was right in the middle of winter. It was fucking cold as it is, and then you're getting sprayed in the face with this light mist. I'm like, no, this is not for me. I'm not interested. And then the chairs are vibrating. I'm like, no, I don't need this.
Normally, if I'm in a dark room on a vibrating chair getting sprayed in the face, I'm paying a little bit less.
That's usually your Sunday night.
Exactly right. And there's no movie on.
Yeah. Now, I forgot to mention this story in the intro. This is probably one of the biggest stories of the week for me anyway, because if there's 2 men that I would turn for, it is Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio. And this week it's been announced that both of them are going to be starring in Quentin Tarantino's 9th film, which has a title now called Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Which is a great title.
Yes. So basically the story takes place in Los Angeles in 1969. DiCaprio plays a former TV Western star named Rick Dalton, and Brad Pitt plays his longtime stunt double Cliff Booth.
Now, when I read this, I had to double take because I'm like, yes, they're both attractive men, but they don't look the same.
No, they definitely don't. And I think Brad Pitt's a lot taller than Leonardo.
Yeah, I get that impression.
But it's back in the 70s. They don't really care about this shit. So basically, the story is that both men are struggling to make it in Hollywood as they don't get recognized anymore. Rick has a very famous next-door neighbor in the form of Sharon Tate, who would then become the first victim of the Charles Manson family. So that's how the Charles Manson Sharon Tate story comes into this, and it's still rumored that Margot Robbie to play Sharon Tate. So if you could get the reunion of Leonardo DiCaprio and Margot Robbie from Wolf of Wall Street, throw in Brad Pitt, and throw in a Quentin Tarantino script and direction on top of that, this is just a match made in heaven, in my opinion.
Are you ready to have your mind blown?
Yes.
Brad Pitt is 1.8 meters tall.
Yeah.
And Leonardo DiCaprio is 1.83 meters tall.
Oh, Leo's taller.
Yeah, by 3 centimeters.
I would never have picked that.
Nor
never have picked that. All right, well, thanks for that trivial piece of information. Thank you. That was really cool.
Yeah.
All right, well, I think you're a fan of this series, but...
The first one.
Series, I'm going to say, because I'm pretty sure you've said in podcasts that you like the whole thing. It's one of the trilogies that I never got into and I never understood, and that was the Men in Black series.
I haven't seen the third one, and I didn't like the second one.
Okay.
So, but I did like the first one.
I'm just going to say you liked all of them.
All right, cool. Just for the drama.
Just for the drama. Just so people can hate you more.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Well, talk comes this week that Chris Hemsworth is going to lead a new Men in Black series.
Which is interesting. I would love it if he was if they went to like the Australian Bureau, a la what they did in Kingsman 2, but good.
Yeah, and something that's not 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they're saying that their aim is essentially to follow the Jurassic World template, is that the fourth film will be set in the same contemporary world and continuity, but will focus on new characters. Apparently, Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith aren't expected to be back to come back into this world, which is to be unfortunately set in London. So we're not necessarily going to see the Australian branch.
He could still be an Australian in London or just a British guy.
Yeah, no, I hope so, because I don't know if we spoke about it one time. It was a trailer for what would you call it? A continuation of the Dundee story.
Yeah. It was...
But it ended up just being a Super Bowl commercial for Australian tourism, and he was really good in that. If you watch the whole thing, Chris Hemsworth, he does have a lot of comedic acting chops.
Yeah.
We saw it a lot in Thor Ragnarok. We saw a pretty shit version in Ghostbusters, but I do believe he does have the chops, and something like this could really, take him out of the Thor world that he's probably just known for and liked for, and shoot him into another direction.
I agree. I think this guy's got... I've got a good feeling about him. I think he's going to make it.
Yeah, I think so.
But New Men in Black will be good. I'm really glad that particularly Tommy Lee Jones, but even Will Smith aren't coming back. Let's start something fresh and something for the kids.
It's going to be interesting because if Thor Ragnarok wasn't as exciting as it was, and it wasn't as good as it was, I would have said that maybe Thor or / Chris Hemsworth might have been one of the characters to die in the upcoming Infinity War films. And this would be the perfect segue for him to go into another franchise.
Yeah.
But I really want to see more of the Thor story now, especially if Taika Waititi is going to come back to direct, hopefully. Not that there's been any talk about it.
Yeah.
But I would still love to see the continuation of that story. So it'll be interesting to see if he can do both.
I was going to say, I don't think they're going to kill Thor now because he actually has an arc. Like, he is... Like, how is he going to go as the All-Father? I think there's a story there. There's no succession plan for him like there is, say, for Iron Man or Captain America. Like, there are people who can take their mantles. No one can be the next Thor.
Yeah.
Except for maybe Valkyrie. Yeah,
well, we have seen a Lady Thor in the comic book series, and that was actually Jane Foster, who was Natalie Portman's character. Yeah. She took the realms, but I think already Natalie Portman said that she's not coming back, so I don't know if that's going to work. So, as you said, it could be definitely Valkyrie who takes that. She was a standout in Thor Ragnarok, so who knows? It's just speculation.
Cool.
All right, well, it's one of the favorite times of the year. On Monday, it is Oscar Day. So we're going to give you what we think will be the winners of the top 4 categories.
Well, I'm going to ask you who you think the winners will be of the top 4 categories because, look, I know I'm honest about what each of us brings to the show. I bring the looks, and you bring the film knowledge, the depth of actual understanding of the craft of film.
You make me sound like a wanker.
No, sorry, mate. I do not mean that. I'm actually very impressed by your knowledge.
Okay, thank you.
You've got a huge knowledge. So,
Oh, thank you.
so I'm going to go through the top 4 here, and I want you to tell me who you think is going to win, and I want you to tell us why. Now, I will bring something else, which is a fantastic ability for imitation. So I'm going to. I've got the Oscar presenters up here.
Excellent. I want you to do Warren Beatty from last year, who read out the wrong film.
I don't know how you do Warren Beatty. He just sounds like a guy.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Warren Beatty. Here's our. I'm going to ask you now.
Maybe just read out the wrong list of movies.
Oh, that's what I was going to do. I was going to say, here's our nominations for Best Picture. Dick Tracy. Oh, what? All right, so Best Picture. As Warren Beatty. I can't really do Warren Beatty. I'm old. Best Picture nominees. Call Me By Your Name. Darkest Hour. Dunkirk. Get Out. Lady Bird. Phantom Thread. This is a long list. The Post. The Shape of Water. 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. Are we sure that's the name of a movie? Okay, we're sure. Okay.
All right. I think the winner of this category and has to be The Shape of Water. This film is a standout amongst the rest of them, even though personally I love Dunkirk. As I said last year, it was my favorite film of the year, but I don't think it's going to get over The Shape of the Water. Everyone's in love with this film. It's a fantastic tale of 2 people who've come from different worlds but are quite similar, come together and fall in love. And we saw that similar last year with La La Land, but that didn't get over the line. But I think this type of film will get over the line this year. It's visually beautiful. It's well directed. The casting is fantastic. The performances are beautiful. So I can't see anything taking this out. But there is a but. There is a but. We do know that the Academy Awards do like to make statements. There was no way that Moonlight was the best film of last year. That was just kind of. It is. Well, I think it was. It was kind of putting a Band-Aid over a horrible snubbing of African Americans in the award season last year. The year before, and I think that was kind of their redemption for it. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see something similar this year with, I'm going to say possibly Get Out, because that was a film that was completely snubbed at the Golden Globes. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's something there. But I wouldn't also be surprised if, say, 3 Billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri. But I think this film is more popular because of the performances rather than the film itself.
And the funny thing about this film is it's not political. Like 3 Billboards could be seen as a political choice, whereas The Shape of Water is like too far outside. And Del Toro has not won for Best Director yet. I mean, he hasn't got a huge catalogue of films, but all of his films have been very good directorially. Yeah.
All right, so
next one,
The Shape of Water.
All right, that's what we're putting your money in. All right, so I'm gonna bet my house on that. All right, see if you can guess who this of the presenters. See if you can guess this person is. Hello, I'm really quick. I'm laughing, but I'm snorting. I'm gonna give you the nominations for Best Director. Okay, Dunkirk, Christopher Nolan. Get Out, Jordan Peele. Lady Bird, Greta Gerwig. Phantom Thread, Paul Thomas Anderson. And The Shape of Water, Guillermo del Toro. How do you even say that?
Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah. Before you do that, who was I being?
Woody Allen?
Sandra Bullock, of course.
Man, we are on complete polar opposites on that one.
All right, let's see who's going to win Best Director. I'll work on my next impersonation.
All right, awesome. Definitely Guillermo del Toro for The Shape of Water. But again, as I said, it might be a political move here. I wouldn't be surprised with the Me Too movement and the women's movement that's going on in Hollywood that Greta Gerwig wins for Lady Bird. So put that as a sneaky surprise. But I'm going to say Guillermo del Toro.
No chance for Jordan Peele?
No, I don't think so. Not this year.
There's no way they could give 2 black creative people a great award 2 years in a row.
Exactly. This is the Oscars after all.
Yeah. All right, next one.
This is the whitewash.
Speaking of Oscar-winning performances, see if you can get this impersonation.
Okay.
For lead actor. All right, we're talking about lead actor here. Timothy Chalamet, Call Me By Your Name. Daniel Day-Lewis, Phantom Thread. Daniel Kaluuya, Get Out. Gary Oldman, all right, Darkest Hour. And Denzel Washington, Roman J. Israel Esquire. These are actual presenters.
I reckon that one was more closer to Sandra Bullock.
Who would want to be closer to Sandra Bullock? No, it was Matthew McConaughey, of course.
Oh, okay.
I said all right.
You say all right.
That's right.
Yeah.
Done through. You know what I love about the Oscars?
You have to throw 3 all right for Matthew McConaughey.
That's true.
Yeah.
I ruined it. Damn it.
I like it. No, I do like your style.
Lead actor.
All right. For me, it has to be Gary Oldman. His portrayal of Churchill during the war is outstanding. Not only does he put on this great fat suit and knock it out of the park, but the film itself is fantastic, and he really carries this. He's the massive standout out of all these nominations, and that is my pick, Gary Oldman, The Darkest Hour.
I have a feeling that Daniel Day-Lewis, because he doesn't work a lot, but he's well loved. Like, he's done something. Quick, give him an award now while we can.
Yeah, but he people aren't necessarily raving about his performance. But as you said, it's because he doesn't do much. He comes out every 3 or 4 years with a performance. That's when people start talking. So I think he's just come out of his shell. Yep, let's give him a nomination, and he'll go back into his hole that he lives in for another 4 or 5 years.
His method acting hole.
Yes.
That sounds really painful. All right, last one. You're definitely going to get this one.
Okay.
Today we're going to work out who's going to be the lead actress. We've got Sally Hawkins, Shape of Water, Frances McDormand, 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri, Margot Robbie, I, Tonya, Ronan, Lady Bird, and Meryl Streep, The Post. Come on.
Sandra Bullock.
Oh, no, it was
Christopher
Jodie Foster,
Walken,
man. Oh yeah, Christopher Walken. Yes, that's who it was.
Yeah,
perfect.
Cool.
Got one.
All right, this one there is not even a contest for this one as well. Frances McDormand from 3 Billboards from Ebbing, Missouri. She was amazing in this film.
Yeah.
She is just so cold and straight to the point, and really keeps the story moving, and for that she's definitely going to win. But in saying that too, I really loved Margot Robbie in I, Tonya. She was so damn good in that film. She is, she's not just a one-trick pony, and she's not just a pretty face on the screen. Margot Robbie is, serious talent. Yeah. So any other year, I reckon she might have won it, but Frances McDormand, hands down.
She's a treasure. They're both treasures.
Yeah, so those are our top 4 picks. Go down to Sportsbet, put your house on it, and then you'll thank me next.
Do not condone gambling. Just putting that out there.
Yes, but yeah, generally there's a lot of shit and trivia with the Oscars on the other nominations, but these are the big 4 that I like to talk about.
These are the ones really that anyone actually cares about.
Yeah, I'll be surprised if it's anything other than those 4 that we've announced.
Beautiful.
All right, well, that wraps up the show for this week. Again, thank you for everyone who's been downloading the show. We forgot to mention on the last one as well that, we were super impressed with people who were downloading previous episodes over January where we weren't even putting anything out.
People missed us.
Yeah, and I'm actually quite curious to see who you people are. So once we post this, if you are a fan of our Facebook page, jump on and just hit a like. I'd love to see who are these people who actually download this show, because we're getting, pretty good numbers and not necessarily any likes or anything else. So
that's always harder.
We want to know who's actually listening to this show. If you want to ask us a question, leave the question in the comment. If you've got something for us, leave it in there as well. If you want to be on the show, tell us that you want to be on the show. We're happy to talk to some other movie nerds as well. Absolutely. So let us know who you are, and let us know if you do want to have a crack at coming on this show and talking to us and answering some of our movie questions as well.
Or at the very least, who you think is going to win some Oscars.
Correct. Well, the Oscars will already be known by the time.
Oh, yeah, good point.
Yeah. All right, let your week be a good week. Until next week.